Hey guys, what's up? How you doing? I hope mko salama. Welcome to our live show. Remember to log in on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter at Oink. We're live on Facebook, and today we have a very, very interesting and moving show. I have two beautiful ladies with me. I'll first introduce Maria Muinde and Sophie shortly. So my name is Adero Ocholler. Remember to roll the R. I'm live in Nakuru, and these ladies are in Nairobi. And as we had posted on our pages, today we are going to talk about widowed when young. Basically, that's our topic. So my first guest is Maria Muinde. Maria, you're looking good in your rugby jersey.
Thank you.
Hey guys, yes, and I'll say Tony's rugby jersey, that is yours. You remember we own these things by force. Shortly, remember to roll live in Nakuru, and this ladies are in Nairobi. As we have posted on our pages today, we are going to talk about.
Sorry.
All right, so I'm going to introduce Maria. As per the show, Maria is a widow, mother to an autistic child, and an autism advocate. And she's going to share her son's journey to raise awareness about autism. So why Maria is in the show is because she's recently lost her husband, who is well known to most of us. He's a celebrity, still is to me, Tony Onyango. So we'll get into her story. And with me is also Sophie. Sophie is a clinical psychologist, and she's our resident psychologist. Asante sana for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Maria, karibu sana. So Maria has been writing a lot about her story. Most of you have been following her pages on Instagram and Facebook. And to be honest, it's just a journey that I wouldn't imagine going through. And she was kind enough to agree to share her story of being widowed as a young lady. She's only 29. So apart from who I've described Maria as, Maria is a writer. And for the longest time, I'd been banging her head virtually and telling her, write, even before Tony's demise. So Tony Onyango, as I mentioned, is a celebrity. Even if he's 6 feet under, he's a celebrity. Tony was a Kenya national 15 team fullback. He also played for KCB rugby until his demise. Before that, he played for Strathmore, and he was in Maseno School. So Maria, maybe you can introduce yourself, something else that we need to know about you.
So hi, I'm Maria. Like Adesh said, I'm Maria Muinde. Well, you've told me to introduce Tony, so I met Tony through Strathmore University, but our journey through rugby started where we actually met. I started at Impala FC, then we moved to Strathmore together under your husband, and your husband was the coach at the time. Then he transitioned to Home RFC after graduating.
Yes. Oh, yes.
KBC, yes. He went to Homeboys after graduating, then KCB. Tony has
KCB.
Yeah, KCB New Home. So Tony has also featured for the Kenya Sevens as well as the Kenya 15s, both our Kenya international sides.
Yes.
Also featured in international tournaments, with the latest being the GFI 10s, representing the East African 10 side.
Yeah. So can you just tell us where you met? Tell us about Tony. Apart from that, because kuna mali ulingia box, like just tell us about Tony. Yeah.
Well, I met Tony in 2010 at Strathmore University. We just signed up for our undergraduate degree. So addition is the irony, and here is the biggest joke. Tony never wanted to do BIF, that is Bachelor in Informatics. He had a thing for piloting, but he got convinced to start with BIF before he goes to piloting there, just in case you don't get a job of IT to fall back to. And, for me, okay, sign up in Strat to do BBIT. That's a Bachelor in Business and Information Technology. Well, my mom has a PhD in IT, and you know others, and wanting to talk about where and but yeah,
my friend,
that was not for me. So tried, and there's nothing as frustrating as you're studying for something and you're putting in the effort, but nothing is rewarded. So you're failing miserably at the core subjects. But yeah, I had purpose to drop out at first year, first semester. Then
Whoa.
so
That was fast.
that was he was smooth,
Yeah.
Yeah, so and BIF, his course, they were the pioneer students at the time, and they couldn't meet for most of the classes. So we used to share some of his classes, some of the lectures. And there was something about Tony. Tony had a beautiful smile. He was super skinny at the time, but he had a beautiful smile. Half and quite dark. And Mama Shen loves a bit dark.
Turiona.
For the longest time, I never knew his name. We nicknamed him for the long semester, if I'm not wrong. We never knew his name. So I used to call him. And it started off as a friendship. I had some other person on the side. He had another person on the side. We were friends.
I hope they're watching. Okay.
And, he was an amazing guy. He was an amazing
Yeah, I can attest. So so basically, how long did you date and then formalize? We've also stalked your photos. We knew there was like a tradition or something.
Yeah.
About Shane, you have a handsome son, and he's just taking after his dad, Kabisa. We'll talk about Shane a bit later, but then so what was the procedure after dating? And I know your parents are very strict, and just bringing Tony into the picture.
So yeah, like I told you, I met him in 2010. We were both seeing different people. And Tony was and you see, when we BBT, my friends, some always hang around. Most of my friends are male. And Mato used to tell me, as in, Ujama, as much as you guys are saying there's nothing going on here, this is the guy for you. And I tell them, imagine in Tony's presence, guys are talking about kitanda, kuna kitu happen.
Nice and raw.
Happen. And we started dating in 2011. But I think around the same time as Unajua Ushaingiza books, his reason, the reason why I stayed in Strathmore, say long enough for like 2 years in first year, you're trying to read some other lessons, but the biggest one, you cannot fail. You cannot fail at everything. So
you can't.
Around the same time, around when he started dating, shortly after I dropped out of Strath, I went to Catholic University to pursue something in my interest, I can say. So the relationship grew around. By the time we were graduating, and that's around, both of us graduated in 2015, no? And shortly after, we had Shane. And the day Shane was born, morning after, Tony, supportive Tony, he was at the delivery. And after you feel pain to the point whereby you don't know where, but I think my response is just to read the wave. After he was born, he looks at me and ananiambia, ulikuwa unasema aje juu ya kwenda kwa kitanda? Yani angoje, like at that time he's like, I thought hata tukienda kwa bed nothing will happen. What have you just done?
Exactly. What has just happened?
It's like you have to push again after the shoulders came out because boy is taller than me.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
That's funny for you, like banter bana. As in not angoji,
Yeah. And I'd only seen Tony around. I'd see him like a quiet guy. He just used to wave at me. Maybe he used to just think, I'm not allowed to talk to her. He was so, polite and respectful. That's what I remember him for. So so now to the hardest bit, Maria. It's been about 4 months since Tony passed on. Of course, this just caught us off guard, shock. I remember waking up to the news and I'm like, this can't be it. It's not possible, especially when you know that person. Can you, so maybe just take us through those days leading to your loss, when you lost Tony?
Everything. Adesh, some of these things, people say, ni come to jua when someone is about to die. And when I'm looking back now, especially 4 months later, a lot of the things are making sense. Like things used to do towards the end. Some of them didn't make sense. Because I remember actually our last deep conversation was like, say a week before he died. And he had been to KCB for training for like 3 weeks. So the first week, he had been out of work for a while. So he just received a gig at Sunshine, where he used to be paid per session. And principal was Sunshine. Mr. Ocholler happened to be Tony's principal at high school, and they had a really good relationship. So I think when he got the job, I can say on a casual basis. So he got this saying like, I need to prove, like Tony, when he gets something new, he's a kind of a guy who's going to give it his all, yeah. So in the maybe something good will come out of it, say like a full-time job. So the first week, he asked for permission from his coach, Kolago, to train the kids ahead for a game they had in Nakuru, some high school game, yeah. So by the second, and I think he got so much gratification. And the second week, normally they train on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So on Tuesday, Tony hasn't gone to training. And I'm asking him, Monday went to Sunshine, Tuesday went to Sunshine. I'm like, have you spoke to your coach? What have you guys been agreed on? So he was like, sijaongea na Kolago, but I'll talk to him. But these kids need me. Like they don't have like a proper understanding of rugby or the set pieces or how the game like pretty much runs, yeah? Because they're playing on amateur, And the week that he managed to text Kolago, that was the second week he didn't play. By the third week, no sanile. The person has been out of work for a while, and for someone who's been with a man at home who's lost his job, they know the frustration unemployment brings around. As in, I didn't mind like holding it, like holding down the fort. I totally stood by me, even when I didn't have a job. Like he never made me like feel like a burden to him or question. Not as a matter of fact, it's people from outside. Some of them were actually closer that used to bring it up concern. So
that you're out of work and
that you're out of work, you go home too, and people utanza kuitwa, you get all sorts of accusation, especially when people are trying to borrow money from him, and every time he's like, I need to run it by Maria. Then he's like, umetoka game, alafu najua ujinga and media and broadcast it. So people have these notions that millions ikitangazwa it's for one. They don't know like this thing is shut down. Like
it's true.
So that
we are the bosses of the home.
I say that louder, man. But anyway,
let me get the microphone. Anyway,
that would it's been 2 weeks since he hadn't gone for training, and he's contracted with KCB. And I've read his contract, and I know his term of agreement. And the reason why I know these things is the contract Tony signed with KCB. He actually brought it home. There's a place someone else has to sign, and as usual, it was me. So I read through the term. It had been, say, 2 weeks he has not gone for training. So the third week, I sat him down. Now, because like, we need to talk, yeah? Because we know what you're getting paid at Sunshine. It's not much. It's money. Money is money, You have responsibilities. But what's going to happen at Nini to KCB? Keep in mind the entire time KCB, because he was relatively new. I think he had played for, let's say, like a season and a half at most. So like, so what happens if you lose this one? I know there's no Tony without rugby. There's nothing someone who can tell you rugby is a dangerous sport. You shouldn't have played that. There was never going to be a Tony without rugby. And even if someone is going to be Tony back, and then Maria Tony is going to die 28, I'll still stay, knowing that there's never going to be a Tony without rugby. So when I brought up and this contract, he brought up issues of our life. So it became personal. I'm like, wait, I'm asking you about work. I'm asking you about a contract you're like most likely going to lose any time from now.
To lose.
Lose time from now. So, but Tony brought up issues about our family. Marriage is marriage. And we had our own issues. I think I read so much about the happy times, but people shouldn't be fooled. People shouldn't be. We had, just like any marriage, we had We had a rough patch. So we talked about, we
Rough.
discussed,
Rough can be rough.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we talked about issues, every single issue he had. So we also talked
Yeah.
about, somehow in our talks, we always, you see, the moment you become a special needs parent, it is no longer about you. It's no longer about your spouse, but about this child you brought on board. You see, she never signed up for this life. She never signed up to be a part of our family. That was a decision we made for ourselves. So when you started talking about life, and the you talk about your child's future, you see, when you're talking about jobs, it's almost inevitable not to talk about the future. So we started talking about our own future. We started talking about Shane's future. And when you're talking about future, death is one of those things we'll always talk about. So it went to the extent should anything happen to me? Like me, I was like, as long as we don't have a home of our own, if anything happens to me, kindly, my wish was to be cremated. Because you see, at the time, I'd been married to him.
Yeah.
Okay, Kwetu is a bit out of the question. So for me, I was like, as long as I do shamba.
Before you go on, Maria, sorry to. So this whole cremation, this conversation is happening 2 weeks prior to his
a week actually.
demise. A week. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
We spoke about death, and I don't know. You see, I started with work, then it came to life, it came to the future, it came to death. Now you see, it's like we are making arrangements, and I'm like, me, in the case something like anything happens to me, I'm like, cremate me. If anything happens to my son, we're like, Bila Shamba, cremation is the way. Then you're like, if something happens to him, I can remember, he loves his father's home. I can remember him, he just wants to be buried, Ushagu. And not at the grandmother's compound. They have a family cemetery. It was like, my wish is to be buried inside my father's compound. And you see, as long as even when he was out, when Tony was making plans for the future, he had he's actually not even at a big fancy wedding. Tony's biggest desire was to help finalize on the landscaping because he wants to do he built a pretty home. So Tony always wanted to help the dad do landscaping around the compound. So and you see, you've already talked about the death, so you come about the finances as well because you're like tuko na mtoto. Even if and strangely enough, our prayer had been we both outgrow Shane. That no matter what life throws at us, our biggest prayer has always been for God to keep us long enough to be here for our son. This is a special needs child, and you see the raising Shane. I have an amazing support system. My parents are there, my siblings are there, but at the end of the day, you'll worry. As a parent, you'll worry. There's always that face where you question. Can someone else pull in the weight? Will people understand him the way he is? Accept him as he is? So as part of our friend's future, we started. We got a life cover for Shane. So we're like, and you see, when you get insurance for a child, in the eventuality, we've already spoken about the eventuality of both of our deaths. So the question is, who's going to be our beneficiary? So you go back again. It's like, okay, so let's start with your family. The relationship you have with your family versus the relationship they have with their dad. Then you go to my side, and you see that time. Then you go to my side of the family. So we talk about the relationship I have with the family, that is my parents and my siblings, and the relationship they have with me. And especially the relationship and the interest they've had in Shane's life, especially diagnosis. Because you're not just going to be a beneficiary simply because they're your blood. If they've never had a
that's true.
You cannot, because the whole point of getting, say, like an education policy is like even first, whoever will be left with my child, hata sumbuka sana, they'll have like some cushioning.
Like actually, you don't want your child to suffer, or you don't know, you're just like,
And I think for me, Tony loved him. Tony adored that child. So for me, I know. Just a minute. So for me, I know what it will mean for Shane to have a good life, because that is what Tony intended. So those are the things we spoke about. We just spoke about pretty much everything. And at the end of the discussion, We never even discussed, like, I started the discussion so that you can talk about his contract at KCB, because the way things were going, it was and everything. But then again, when you've been with someone for a while, you understand how to test things. So yeah, that was among our last conversation. So on his final, that was like a week before he died. We had that discussion. Then, I think, say like 2 weekends before he died, was the mother and the sister's graduation. No, not graduation, sorry, birthday. They had a birthday party at home. And I couldn't attend because of work. I had a lot of commitment. I have to submit work. It was my deadline and all. So I just told him, since you're down, you can just go with the kid and he's going to present, So they prepared themselves. They went. He had time with his family. It's so unfortunate because, you see, that's the thing with death. Like, you're dining with someone. That time he came home, I think, close to 10. And you see, I never even felt the need of, I knew where he was. So, and I've never had something, okay, with Tony, given the kind of a man he was, I never had his security start calling, I'm texting to check in. He's with his family.
Where are you?
Exactly. We've been together for almost a decade. When he tells you he's with his family, as in, I just let it go. So, that was the last day was with his family. So, fast forward to the day he died. It was 3rd March. It was on a Tuesday. And in the morning, I normally wake up at 5:30. We didn't have a nanny. I had to release my nanny back in September, but she's back now to take care of Shane. So I usually wake up at 5:30. I prepare Shane's bath water. I do his breakfast. Then at around 6, I set out his uniform. I make sure his shoes are polished. And I have a really bad back. I can say it's an injury. So at 6, Tony will wake up, and he knows the way. I'm not a morning person, and that's the one time Shane usually try to play with my nerves, especially when it comes to taking breakfast. So Tony used to do breakfast. So they have a routine. Actually, it's a very solid routine, because that's the thing with having autistic kids, because they thrive so much on routine.
Okay.
Wake up at 6, and Shane will wake Shane up. They'll have breakfast together, OT time with Nini dad. He'll bathe Shane. And some more at a uniform, it was just that time. They just have conversations. And it's just one-sided because our son is not, but they had their own bond. Yeah, it was their thing. You can't even interfere. So my work, find them at 6:50. It's time to step. Yeah. So he prepared Shane for school. He took Shane down to the school van. And that was pretty much the last time Tony saw his son. So he came back to the house, normal conversation. I think I just been paid like a week after, so I done all the shopping. And you know how Tony and I bend snacks. So I bought him his cookies, the digestive biscuits. So after breakfast, I was like, after cookies are here, I bought him his digestive. So you just, how you normally catch up on your day-to-day activities. So I asked him what he was up to. So he told me he's just going to coach kids at Sunday because he had been out of work. It's just he used to rely on coaching. So he told me to Sunshine to coach the kids. Then he was going to come home afterwards. And I didn't see him some fatigue due to the nature of my job. And I don't know, I was just going. And you see, say 2 weeks to his death, I was just feeling too much fatigue. To the point I was feeling as if I was sick. Yeah. So I used to sleep quite a lot after work. And you see, I've just submitted all my assignments. So I just slept. And I remember when I sleep, normally he wake me up and be when he's leaving the house. So you see, after to we start watching, fell asleep. And I think I think I can remember hearing him closing the door behind him when he was leaving. He didn't wake me up.
Yeah.
And I think before I slept, that was the last time I saw like Tony, like you heard his voice, whatever. So in my head, I knew Tony was going to function for coaching. Along the way, he went to KCB. So he went for training, had him for training for 3 weeks, like I told you. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, like why he changed his mind. So he went. This is something I found out later on after he had already been pronounced dead. Actually, Wamai is the one who informed me because someone called Wamai to come over. So yes, so we went to KCB. He had gone for training. Halfway through the session, I understand he developed some, I don't want to say complications, but he had the heart palpitations. And when he was just because we left training halfway through, so we went sidelines, apparently told the coach his heart is beating really, really fast and he was feeling a bit dizzy. Only being they asked him to go to the hospital. He refused. He said he was fine. And they kept on pushing because if you're not fine, you can just go. They have a cover. Like you can like easily go. Look at that. From Ruarak, I think Gunanak is the closest. Still, he refused, insisted on staying back, catching up. Because it's been 3 weeks, and you know, these guys, even with the 1,001 rugby groups, they always have something to talk. So after this, he had gone to tell them goodbye. Because when he left training, that he usually lived with one of his teammates called Kimwele. Kimwele, I think he lives around Karen area. So they dropped the other along the way. Kimwele came, dropped Tony at Galeria. So he took a matatu from Galeria to Ngong. No, Galeria to Karen, and Karen to Ngong. So when Tony got home, he rang the bell because normally at times when he comes home from training, he can come a bit early, but when he goes for training, but it's normally usually gets home between 9 to 9:30. So when he got home that night, he rang the bell, and the way he rings the bell, after doing Tony, he has his own way. But you see, the first time I was already this seat where I'm seated, I was fast asleep with trainer. So he rang the second time. Ring bell, and you haven't even opened the door. So I just rushed to open the door for him. And I was still disoriented because of the sleep. And I noticed that day when Shane came back from school, I don't know, he didn't seem fine. Because I cooked his first meal, Shane couldn't eat. I made him rice, he couldn't eat. So I was getting really frustrated because it's like, okay, I'm trying food you can't eat. I'm trying, like, whatever you like, the food you like, you're not eating. Then on the other hand, I just left a friend before Shane came back from school, and we had eaten. So I started cleaning up as well. So it's just uneasy. And you see, I'm getting really frustrated because this kid is not eating, and he can't sleep hungry. So by the time Matatoni is coming up, like, so when I went to open the door, it hit me. Nimelala na mtoto kwa kiti, and this kid doesn't have a diaper on. And Tony doesn't like this thing of kids pissing on the knee. That's not for him. Just smile, walked into the house. But this person ametoka tu kulala, and he knows at that time, and so I opened the door for him. He went straight to the bedroom. He went changed the clothes he was wearing. When he came from outside, like put on his shirt, his track pants. I like, okay, I can say he changed, So from the bedroom, keep in mind, I just salimiana because I'm disoriented, I'm from sleep. Him is just rushing. Change at least akuje ashike mtoto, at least ambeleke, because that was like something that used to happen quite a lot. So there was nothing shifty about it. So when he went to the bedroom, he changed quickly. He came to the sitting room. You see where you can see his portrait.
I see his beautiful portrait and his medals.
Yeah. So
like
the medals
right in front of.
No, Sasa, you see where I'm seated. I'm facing towards the bedroom. So when he came, he just passed by here, and you see he's now behind my back. I'm changing shade. Next thing I dashed right here was something falling down, and was this, I don't want to call it noise, let's say like a sound. So when I turn, one of his foot is on the chair, and his hands were like, I can't say he was like struggling per
like
se.
A fist.
I cut out the phone, just slipped from his hand. It wasn't even like clinched kabisa. It was just, I don't know. And there was this sound coming through. So at first I turned, I thought nile watu wanakuanga na ukuzi mingi. And they were like, boss, what you find? Then he's like, he's not moving. I'm like, he's not talking. Then I realized, I'm moving closer back to that I'm doing. I'm like asking Tony, like, Nini Mbaya. He's not responding. His eyes are very much open. He was actually staring at the rosary on the wall. So I'm asking him, Tony, Nini Mbaya, hiyo sauti inatoka. I know, like, I think I just went in shock because I've never seen this person had never get sick, So I asked him, Tony, but then I realized he's not even responding. I try like waving Bega Machwake, they're not even moving. So like the first response was, "Ai, mshikilie umogelee down." Because you see hata ukiangalia mdomo, you can see fine, you can see the tongue where it is. Because hapo ameuma meno kabisa. So I held him, nikateremka naye, like took a cushion from the seat because it's pretty heavy. Like I couldn't stretch him on the mini floor on my own. So I just took a cushion, and you see the entire time I'm just talking to him. It's like, I'm going to put you down. I'm putting you in a recovery position. I'm going to tilt your head to the side just to make sure your airway is not blocked. And I'm leaving. I'm going to call for help. So at that point, you see, we hadn't even opened the door when he walked in. It just happened. Like I can say almost immediately when he walked in. So I go call my neighbor.
And all this time, where's Shane? Where's Shane in all this? Where's
right
your son? Where's Shane?
He's
so
right
Shane watched.
No, he didn't watch. Shane slept through it. Even the commotion, and Shane is very sick. So Shane is in the seat. I've rushed to call my neighbors. When we got here is when it hit me. Like, you start clearing out the space. So he doesn't get injured already. So I moved the table. Neighbors helped me stretch him. First neighbor I rushed to Baba Sami. The wife then went to call the other neighbors. So the ones actually were calling the ambulance. And I think the forefront actually. I think after I just called Baba Sami, I was just here with Judy. They were here. So that time through the WhatsApp apartment WhatsApp group, and so we came back. We straightened Tony. We're waiting for the ambulance. So we tried calling AR. The lines weren't going through.
So wait, just wait, Maria. All this time, all this time he's just stiff. Like he's no movement.
You see, when I was bringing him down, I managed to get his hands on the side, and the noise actually coming out of him. The only time I've had this sound, like I'm going to call it this, and I don't have to call it this noise, is when Tony will have nightmares. And every time he have a nightmare, sometimes they could last for quite a period of time. And when he wake up so shaken, sometimes he's even sweating. And no, he's so shaken to the point of sitting up, and he'll pray. So there's a time, you want to ask, because this thing has been recurring. So, and I remember there's a time, he just, after finishing praying, he looked at me, because he realized this time, is here now. So he was like, did you hear? I'm like, yeah. Then I was like, it's a sound that comes every time you're having a nightmare. What could be the problem? I can be, whatever that sounds come. It's like I'm either getting nightmares of me being, or us being, our house being broken into. So he says every time that sound, that noise comes from his mouth, it's like he's trying to call up for help. He's trying to call up for help, but he can't verbalize it. Yeah. So the entire time, that sound just kept on coming out, and my neighbors were here, they're calling for help, we're trying first aid, and that is it. Because actually, come to think, it's afterwards, I thought, after this postmortem, I met one of the medics, and they're saying the moment that we put him down, even before, like when the neighbors came, the first thing we should have done was CPR. Adesha trained first aider. And I think that was my biggest, I felt so guilty, because I'm a trained first aider with St. John's. Like my first response was put him in a recovery position. I've never had to do this before, but I was like, put him in a recovery position. But when he came back, even one of the neighbors panicking him, then I was like, I don't think this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Like everything.
So the time waiting, and after a while, shortly after actually, he went silent. And he breathed out really heavily. And if I remember, and it's something so disturbing. The noise, the sound that came, his last breath is like, I don't know. I don't want to say like I don't know. It was something really heavy. And Adesh, at that point, we didn't realize that Tony had left us. So that time, you're panicking. Even one of the neighbors suggesting, you need to like rub his hands. We need to rub his foot to ensure like his blood circulation. We're keeping him warm. So one of the first neighbors who responded was we asking each other, like, is there a medic in the apartment? So he was like, my wife is a nutritionist, but she works in a hospital setup. So we're like, fine. Like, how about we call the wife? At least I'm putting to say. And you see, during that transition, when she got here, it's like her and Felicia that Tony was transitioning. Because I remember at some point, because here, the air is not responding. So like, how about Shikaneta one of Baba Sami was like, like, let's tumchukue tu, we put him in this car, take hospitali. Then you see that like the lady, my neighbor was like, "Ay, apana, the condition is he cannot be moved." You see her, she's already noticed that Tony has died.
She already knows.
She already knows. She already knows. Sisi
Yeah.
so by the time after them, yeah, and there's also another day about him that is like, so she took her phone and she immediately walked up. There's a reaction she had. And after I was like, okay, actually, I did realize that man is just asking. And you see that time I'm telling you, you're rubbing his hands and you're rubbing his feet. After a while, because I remember at some point I kept on feeling for his pulse. She can't feel more, I can't feel anything. I'm at his wrist, I can't feel anything. So I'm taking his hand, I'm telling Baba Sami, can you try and feel if you're going to hear his pulse? Because I'm trying to assist him. So it's like, no, everything is sure, everyone is sure. So you're rubbing his hand. You see, I felt his hand move. So my neighbor was also like, now that I'm getting he's responding, now he's getting better. And I saw his heart. Like
you saw what?
Like his heart. I saw his heart beating like twice. The it was so visible that I threw the shot. The second time, and it went on my knees and leaned on his chest. I was like, yeah, but then like, and it was very ilikuwa.
Yeah, like
what we didn't know.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. What we didn't know is you see the muscle spasms. That's the time that's the time he actually went. You see the breathing, it took his last breath, but his organs were now shutting down. So the last heart I felt that was it. That was it. That was it.
Wow.
That was it.
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah.
By the time after the medics, it's okay. By the time the medics were getting here, I have no recollection of the time, but I usually feel as if it was like an hour or two later. There's a way when they walk in the house. You see that time it's crowded, my neighbors are here, they can take it here, the nannies are outside, I just think all the kids are not awake. Because I still found the Tony. So when the nannies got here, there's a way they looked at Tony, and the young one, he kind of like panicked. Atanika, he took like a step back. And you see the way he reacted was like, something is really, really wrong. And you see they took a while. You see how we come in, this we call it an emergency in the days. So the doctor came, like he's got next to Tony, one of them anamshika na tuliza how long has he been like this. So you're trying to explain hata kuna sauti alikuwa anatoa ikaacha. And you see for him, he has already seen death. Me, I've seen Tony because his eyes are still open, you know. So he kept on telling them, like, like, madam, you need to leave the room, all the women need to leave the room. I need to be left with like 4 strong men. So like, keep in mind the entire time I'm forgetting about CPR. I'm like, if it's CPR, if you want to do CPR, if you want to resuscitate Tony, I can take it. Start. It's like, oh, madam, keep in mind. So after my neighbors are going to do outside, the entire time when I'm sitting after asleep on this seat, after I continue to wait, the chef is still asleep on the chair. So that's the time before my neighbor, unfortunately, I'm a torture. I'm being to see us, we are medic, we're first responders. And it's when it comes to the law, when someone dies in his house, it officially becomes a police case.
Yeah.
And they don't handle dead bodies when the person will die in their, say, I don't say custody, but yeah. So they're like, so now the government, so they organize who's going to go to the police station to report, or who's going to go at least to general policing, so we can start a whole new cycle. And around that time, I remember I was getting really impatient because and I know CPR can be messy, resuscitation can be messy, but it's quiet, it's so silent. Back I start looking at the window, I'm like telling them, it's taking so long, as in really, really waited for you guys. And if you're not going to take him to the hospital, watch it they don't have to run in.
In all this time, Maria, is it registering? And that's I'll cut short and bring Sophie in, maybe with the process that you went through. So all this time you're saying you've taken so long, has it dawned on you Tony might have left us, or are you still hopeful? Like, what was going through your mind? And then Sophie, you can come in and just maybe talk about that process, maybe what Maria was going through. Maybe the fact that she's like, you guys resuscitating, like, but you might be behind your mind, you're like, maybe he's dead.
There was
Maria.
no, I don't know, I never thought of him like being dead. I just knew, okay, from their reaction was like, something is really, really wrong. So before they left the house, I went and picked, I couldn't even think that he has this, what's it called, team insurance. Because I've always known like insurance there, it covers them when they get injured. So I went to ID and I got in Tony's wallet to check his ID. So actually I just tracked his wallet in my bag. So there's a lady friend, I don't know if you know Ivonamai. Ivonamai lives in my neighborhood. That time when it happened, and when the neighbors are calling, when I switched my phone on, I called Yvonne. I already called the neighbors, and now I'm like, kindly come and help me take option, because the last thing you want is to wake up in a strange environment, or in my head I knew what the hospital. Like I was not thinking, like that was not on my cards. You're a familiar face. He knows you. So I think she had been through something similar with a partner, someone she was dating at the time. So she knew when this happened to me, this person used to focus on me, and this is what happened. Like how the team stepped with be called Omai. Omai is the team. And that's what we call Maria akitoa wallet akitoe insurance ya Tony. So like by the time we come, guys, wherever you be. You see now I have a health wallet, niko na insurance now. They're now outside their waiting. I was not wondering where is it waiting for you actually for too long, yeah. So yeah. So actually, and the time we were outside, I have no recollection. I think it was a bit past 10. I tried, I kept on telling my neighbors I need to call his family, especially his mother, and they know it's good as here for me that Tony has collapsed. Because like as a parent, the last thing I want ni mtoto wangu, it gets to a point of collapsing. Something is definitely wrong. Someone was never So and they kept on telling me, "Apana." They even took my phone. Like, let's wait for the till when it gets here, when it gets in the start of his first aid, that's when you can reach out to the family. So when I was out there, like, this thing has taken so long, and I see how it's going to be out. So I need to call his family, and I also need to talk to my just in case Nikwame somewhere financial. I know my parents were busy out. Like Tony was literally, it was more of my parents' child that had machine. So when that time, so we were trying to call the mother, Hakushika, like on the 5th attempt is when she answered the call. Like she's picking a call. Like I'm being taken back to the house. To give my neighbor to talk to her. I'm being taken back to the house. You see that? Understand? The first thing I'm not this guy said was being taken out so that they can start resuscitating Tony. But the moment I walk in at the position I left Tony in is the same position I left in. Nothing at all. Like I didn't to be. I knew. Then you turn as in this machine the way to check when I was banging on the knee or don't come back from home. So for the machine, basically what it does is it measures what's it called. I don't, okay, say body work. And Yvonne was explaining to me that they plugged that thing, they clipped it on a finger and green. And every time they clip it on Tony, it turned red. So, like, that was them justifying that it's actually dead. No one was believing. As if it's Tony was healthy. So that time, I just walked. And in Mwacha, they had covered him up. Then it hits me. So I turn and I look at the closer I get, I look at the machine, it's off. I wish it feels like a nasty. So me, I just asked them, put the machine off. And you see the medics are pretty young guys, yeah? I think I told them because you don't know how they're going to take this to me. I can remember Madam and Sophie. I'm to watch. I think I just feel the numb at that point. After the panicking I was feeling, I just went number. Because I At some point, I even got to my knees. You know, I'm trying to miss him. I was convinced, as in, I had to believe, had this. And this time, you feel like the first time I struggle even to find a balance. When I got my like a pizza, a dish, nothing. I think I just slept next to him. You know how we normally sleep in the shoulders, katikati ya mkono. Tumelala tu hapo, like on the floor. So it's like it's not a evening. But my cousin, like, you know, you have to get up. But I think I just went numb. You know, you just want to be there. It's like a lot to process at that point. Because yeah, I'm preparing myself. Now you're telling me John is dead. I'm thinking, like, what are the odds? What are the odds? You just don't get home and die when you're healthy.
And I'll cut you short, Maria. Just maybe Sophie, you can take us through the process of maybe what Maria was going through. Grief. I don't know if you've ever dealt with someone who's gone through what she went through, and just the agony of her having to watch her young husband die, fresh, I can say fresh in marriage with a really young boy. Just maybe take us through that process of her numbness and just tell us something about that.
And I think for me, the first thing I'd probably want to say is thank you to Maria, because I mean, sharing your journey and your story with all of us is something that none of us should ever take for granted. So for that, I just want to, to tip my hat off to you and say thank you. It's good to talk about it. It's healing, and it's important that you're always given the space and the opportunity to do so. So reactions to situations like that vary, and it's based on individual differences, because I can't even imagine on a personal level, but that's a traumatic experience. And it sounds like, Maria, you probably went into like automatic mode. You know what I mean? Like the things you are doing, the things you narrate and you are thinking, I mean, putting him in recovery position and being aware of your son at the same time, and how sensitive he is to noises and stimulus and things like that. That's auto mode. And it happens, it's a normal reaction. It's just that now your body goes into survival mode. It knows there's danger happening and it needs to protect itself. Emotionally, you know that people around you need to protect them. It almost sounds like then she went, it almost sounds like she also went into this mode of, what can I call it? Denial to some extent, because she knows there's something wrong. She knows there's something happening to Tony, but for her, he collapsed. For her, CPR has to be done, and he needs to get to the hospital. And that happens because it's such a hit. It's such a shock to the system. Sometimes the system just takes kidogo. Yeah, it just takes information in pieces. Yeah. And so now when reality sets in, it's overwhelming. It's just an overwhelming flood of information, emotions, thoughts, and all those kind of things. So you have to deal with things the way your body allows them. So the people who burst into tears, there are those who scream, there are those who run away, there are those who freeze and they can't even talk or do anything. So it really varies. It depends on an individual. Yeah, but I feel like Maria's reactions and responses were just amazing.
Well, yeah, because I know Maria at a personal level, and I've always, and she writes about it, how guys say, "Guy, this girl, you can't even approach her." So, like her personality, you'd be like, "Hey, you can't even say hi to Tony. You send him a WhatsApp message." So, do you think like also her personality just maybe being that person who we call her, hey, she's so stern, plays a part of it, or it doesn't matter? Like when it comes, it comes. Your situation, it's a loss. It's shocking for her.
It's shocking. It's shocking. I don't think that really matters. That may come later, like in terms of surviving and in terms of processing what has happened, and now the grieving process and the mourning process. But then the loss, when a loss like that happens, in that instant, it's like your body knows there's this person and this person, and there's a connection, and that has just been severed. It's been cut. It's been cut. So now what do we do? the body and the brain, they're trying to communicate with one another and trying to figure out what to do next. How do we get out of this situation? And plus, she's a mom. She's a mom. She's a mom. She's a daughter. She's already thinking about, there's my Shane, there's my folks, there's Tony's folks. They need to be told, you're just trying to do all these things at the same time.
Yeah, and Maria, so a bit fast forward to when now the hardest bit, I'm thinking, okay, I can't even say I know what the hardest bit is. Tony getting out, like your parents, I was following your story, your parents come, did your mood or did your emotions change when you saw, we always say, mommy, mommy, mommy. Like even at our age, I'm like, I want my mom, even with this COVID, I'm like, this stress, I want my mom, I want my dad. Did they, like, you had to hide some information from them because Tony was a son to them. So just shortly, like, just take us through that.
Okay, so after Tony had been pronounced dead by the medics, before that, actually, when I came back in the house, when my neighbor finished talking to Mama Tony, I'd already shown my parents' contact on my phone. So she had to call my parents as well. And she told them that Tony had collapsed. And you see, my mom panics easily. I know these are people who are getting older, but I know my dad processes information much better. And you see, my mom has a very soft spot for Tony. So I don't know. I just speak to my dad. So I just told her, when you finish talking to Mama Tony, kindly call my dad. So when she called my dad, she explained to him that Tony had collapsed. We had been waiting for help, the ambulance, but the ambulance is finally here. The medics are here. They are giving it first aid. And knowing my dad, first he assumed maybe we had been mugged in the house. And somehow the person calling could be someone who's holding us hostage. And maybe the person wants money. So my dad was like, no, I have to talk to Maria. I have to hear from Maria. So when she brought me I was sitting down here. So I was sitting towards Tony's feet. That time my neighbors were many more from where I was lying next to Tony, so I'm sitting by his feet. And that was hard. You see, when you have to pronounce it that not even, you don't want to say he's dead, but there's something about lying to your parents, especially my dad. And so I'm telling my dad is like, okay, so Maria, what's happening? Then I told him, Tony has collapsed. And I was actually calling you guys so that you can come and help me process the hospital paperwork because I've never done this thing and I don't know how to go about it. And he kept asking me, Maria, what has happened? Like, how is it going? Yeah, the medics are here, they're coming out first aid. And he kept on repeating again, Maria, like, what's wrong? My dad can read through me. And these are things you realize later on that your parents can literally read, especially when you become a parent. So that's the time you realize that all the lights they can hear, so they can see through it. So he asked again, like, Maria, what's wrong? And then just tell me the truth, how he's doing. I was like, hi, Dad. Tony collapsed, the medics are here, they're trying their best, but he does not look good. So that time they're like, and why are they taking long? They're like, okay, do this, don't take him to just any hospital. Karen Hospital is closer to you guys. And if they have the equipment needed in the ambulance, what we can do is we can take him to Nairobi Hospital or what are they called? The likes of Namata, but we're looking for something closer to home. So after that, you have to go on the phone and you see they're coming from Muriuki. That time, Tony's parents were out of town. The mom was in Mombasa for work, the dad was in Migori. They just go to Migori. Now, when the mother was called, she contacted her kids and they came. So when I called my parents, actually at that time, now they had to change and drive all the way here. And you see, my mom overheard my conversation with my dad. So when I told my dad that he doesn't look too good, my mom knew instantly that Tony was gone. My mom knew instantly that Tony was gone. But you just come praying that maybe you're just overthinking it, that something is going to get better, is going to respond. But by the time they're getting here, the road was really nasty, so we had to redirect them to the other shortcuts. And I think at that time, we're waiting for the police to get here already to start the investigation. So around the same time,
all this time, Maria, you're calm, you're communicating. Because I'm even imagining that all this time you're actually running the show because your neighbors are there, but it's like you're running the show. You're on phone. Like your husband is dead. He's gone, and you're still able to communicate and everything.
No, actually, the only person I spoke to over the phone was my dad. And after that, I just told my neighbors, that, honestly, I can't. So actually, the next person who called, was Nikuli. So Nikuli called and like, hi, Maria, here Tony has collapsed. I told okay. I'm there to my guys, I'm a collapse. The medics are here, they're trying to give him first aid by phone. They're like, should we come? Before I could even respond, they already hung up. We went to pick, they came with Danokeno and Dan's wife. So unfortunately, and that time you're here, my neighbors are here, and you have to keep maintain. I don't know, like a calm demeanor, because these are people who are going to be driving at night, especially through bypass. So the last thing you want is something else to happen, and this one being on you. Yeah. So when my parents finally, I think it hit me when my parents finally got here. The entire time, back my neighbor was telling me, I know we have funny traditions. So my neighbor,
with you, I'm shocked you didn't shave your hair.
Yeah. And the neighbors are coming in, they're getting the news as well, everyone is shaken. And I think that's what for most people, it dawned on them that morning after you slept it off, we're like, what about them? So when my dad got here, I went to meet them at the car park. And I think seeing their car pulling through, it hit me by the there's no turning back. It is really cool. And see that time you've been numb, people are telling you, get out, scream. I know you're asking people, Bona. One even mentioned that, look, Kimila, you have to scream.
You have to figure out, woo! Yeah.
I don't feel screaming. It's like, no, you have to scream. You have to let it out. I'm like, then she kept telling me you have to scream. So I was like, I did go outside and maybe do like push, like go and start. Another time you're like in denial.
Yeah.
Not just numb. So, but I think when I saw my dad, I had this ugly crying. I just cried from that whole man. And he's a typical African man. We hardly ever hug. But that day, just freaked out. I had one of those ugly cries. Then it's like, you have to snap her. So by the time I'm going to my mom is just stuck. One look at her, Naniles are like, you're looking at her and the look she's giving is like,
collect yourself.
Yeah. Collect yourself. She's just telling you one day, and at the time, you don't have to tell them what has happened. Let it come out of them. Just but I think when it got there, you're seeing the police cars, the crowd,
yeah. So they came, viewed body, like the whole process. Tony's family is there, your family is there, Tony's lying down there, same position because you're waiting for cops. I'm assuming, of course, they took him, carried his body. All this while, you're composed, you have to go with them to, was it straight to the, because it happened in the house and the cops came, so it was straight to the mortuary.
It was actually not straight to the mortuary. I did book out from 10 to close. In my head, I usually think they trapped me up around in the morning, but it was almost at 3, a bit after 3 in the morning. And you see that time when the parents got here, the police had just got here, so they started the investigation. They moved through his body, they asked me where it came, how did it happen? I know every time it's like you have to recount. And you see, it has just happened. You're just narrating the same thing over and over.
Yeah, you're not in a position.
Yeah, when they started wearing gloves, ameoga, they ametoka training, ameoga, can you smell hata kuambia nanuka kupata. It doesn't sound just yet. They have to get the license now. When they're looking at Tony's body, They're like, nothing has been found. Then the car, it wasn't explained, they were at a shingle looking for, afterwards, after they're looking to find those, strangulation around his neck. So, the road is perfect looking. Someone came in the house with a phone, and they showed it in my ears, and they're like, you have to tell so-and-so why you killed Tony. And you see, that time, I think I was just numb, I've just finished the police. Then you see, the moment he said that, the person said that. You see, the police are done with the investigation. The issue was like, so madam, my brother, like, my family. Actually, that for my parents. I was like, actually, no, we're not going to take it to the normally my parents does, my family uses like, let's say for my parents, they come, we take him to Montezuma. And I see the picture, and I think why he killed him. And it's in the presence of the
you're being
neighbor.
accused of you're being accused of killing your husband.
At that time, you're being dragged out of the house. You've just so at the time, the police are just told me, the cars were used to, these are hired vehicles. They're not our own, they're not the government cars. And they're not permitted to carry dead bodies in those cars. So now I'm in the dilemma of, we need to figure out how we're going to get the house. And we have to get it pretty fast because the sun rises and the kids in the apartment wake up and there's commotion. That is the last thing I wanted any child to see. That is the last thing I wanted any child to see. And now you see you're in that, as in everything is just happening way too fast. And the accusations are started. And there are people who you never see in your life that you don't. And they're coming back in like, what has happened to Tony? I'm thinking, I've never seen you. And for the ones I've seen you one time in my life, and that was during our ceremony. And after that, everyone, factory setting restored, everyone just went about their business. So you see, it's a lot because there are people who are asking what is Tony. Then the toughest bit, because you see, after it had been pronounced, the police actually, when they're done, they told us to get a shuka, we cover him. So I told them, I'm not comfortable with him being covered in Bakakicho. I don't know, it just feels cruel. I told him, since he's in his house, just acheni tu alale kwa nyumba tufunike mpaka kwa shoulders. And I wish I knew the brothers on the way. I knew they're on the way because I'd been given the feedback that the family is on the way, the brothers, the siblings on the way. So I thought maybe I'll get a notification of some sort, or I'll someone know they're almost here, or someone will notify me that they're almost here. So at least we meet them down. Because you see, they're coming home to a Tony who has collapsed. They don't know that Tony has died. The hardest, it was not even the big brother. The hardest bit was watching Tony's brother. At that time, you've gone numb. You're even when people are not streaming in, I start consoling them. It's like, it's like it doesn't think that this thing has actually happened to you. That time matter you for the fear of unknown. I think that after the accusation started, that's when it hit me. Wow, Mama Shane, you're now a widow. You're now a single mother. Yeah, you're not a single mother. You're now a single mother to a special needs child, and your biggest support system has just died. And I think it's at that point. I think I just went completely numb from that point. So by the time, the family had arrived, I felt really bad when the small brother, because I knew they had arrived because I was seated next to Tony's feet and I had the big brother's body. And when he came, he's panicking like, what has happened to Tony? And see, we haven't covered him completely. But someone told him, Tony amekufa. And you see, the young one was anafuata nyuma. And Tony had a lovely relationship with the younger brother. So by the time I'm turning, Henry is there. Henry has seen Tony. I felt horrible. Like, since it was no longer about me, it's like, this is just too much for anyone. At that time, it's like you've gone numb. You're not even thinking about yourself. You're thinking about everyone else. I was like, this is so cruel. So by the time you're done consoling him, so it's around the same time my parents were here. Police wakikuja after the phone call, the funny phone call. Let us start to a murder investigation. So they're like, apana. If this is the case, we have to wait for the DCI. And I understand a call had already been made. and the DCI alikuwa shapeana the directive ati if it's fine if the body are if the body is healthy, if the body is fine, they can take it away. Just write the notification, like a letter that can be used at the morgue for them to receive the body. Now we have to sit around and wait for the DCI to get here. Now you see that has been you've had to deal with the medics. They are gone.
Yeah.
The police are gone, and that's when you're outside. You're waiting for the DCI. That's the time the first confrontation started. You're just being accused of murder. And you see the things someone is talking about, these are things that happened like 2017, 2018. Mpaka you're asking the person, like, if it unasema niko napigana na Tony, are you talking about 2018? They're like, yeah, I knew you guys were fighting. I'm like, but that is 2017. This is 2020. And you see, it's not someone who's willing to listen to you or let you, like, give you time to tell your side of the story or, like, explain what had happened. So, yeah, so it just kept on coming. So I think I just sat on the floor. The police are there. Then I turn, I notice they're motioning at the DCI and the fika. So for me, I knew story yangu imeisha. For sure I knew hapa anaweza rushwa ndani. But then again, innocent, yeah? But the rate at which the accusations are coming through.
Yeah.
But see, at least there's a reason. I've been telling myself, God is a fair and is a just God this entire time. So the person who was busy accusing me, akaropokwa. What did Tony get on from the Decathlon? But if this is someone who was actually in Tony's life, so this is someone who kept in touch with him, this is someone who talked to him, that person will have known that Tony has been out of work for like 5 months. Actually, he had been fired from the Decathlon last year. And we were fine. Because we went to Christmas, we were fine. He went to a family gathering, he was fine. So when someone else comes and they're starting with their accusations, and this is someone who's hardly ever in your life, it was shocking. So I was like, Umoliza what time he came from the Decathlon, that is when it started. So now there's your idea.
Yeah.
Sorry,
as you're trying to process all these things, there's things being thrown at you and accusations. Just try and remove your headphones. Just unplug your earphones from your phone. We see whether the feedback will reduce. Yeah.
Hold on.
So all these things were being thrown at you. So, but I think for me, what has come out very clear is that you seem like you're very protective about family. That's the impression I'm getting. You're very protective because even the things you're talking about, like you wish the brothers found out in a different way. You didn't want to tell his folks or your folks on the phone because you're concerned about their reaction, bearing in mind their age. Are you hearing the things that you're processing in your mind within that short span of time? I won't call my folks. They're this age. I know my dad, my mom is like this. This is the kind of personality. This is how they take in news. His folks are like this. His brothers are like this. His relationship with person 1, 2, 3 is like this. I wish these ones found out in this kind of way. So me, my impression is that you're a very protective person when it comes to family. And it sounds like you really treasure it and, it's part of who you are. Yeah. And just want to celebrate that.
And I just, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice, perfect. So actually, Maria had mentioned Daniel Otieno. Kinadan were there they rushed Brian Nyikuli. And before I go on, I just want, because it's a rugby fraternity, Brian Nyikuli lost his mom and she was buried today. So even for Maria, the double tragedy of these are the guys who ran to help her when Tony passed. They were in the front line, Dan Otieno, Nyikuli, and I'll read comments shortly. But imagine now Maria has to go through, she's lost Tony, and then these are her teammates who've been there for her, and then one of them again, who she's close with, loses his mother. She was buried today, and our heartfelt condolences, Brian and Linda. And then comes yesterday again, Maria, you lost someone else. You lost an aunt who was at the forefront of, your marriage. I read your story, your status. You were just like, she saw the nakedness in marriage, yeah. And marriage is not a smooth part. So of course, there's that one person you cling on and they guide you. So, for Maria, are you feeling like because I will mention God because you mentioned God. I am a religious person, but I also respect the fact that people have their own views.
Yeah.
Have you questioned God? Are you in that space? Like, are you like, why me, and why is it around me? And with your personality, do you feel like you like people should understand your grieving way? Because as you said, some people will be like, this chick didn't even cry. Maybe she wanted Tony dead, or like the already accused, being accused of murder is something I don't even know how to handle.
In your
But what
parents'
do you
presence,
feel?
Hmm?
Pardon?
being accused of murder in your parents' what my issue is not at the neighbors. I think this is someone who's been causing a lot of trouble in my relationship for the longest time. This is someone who's told me, like, me and Tony should separate. Like, I'm so lucky that despite everything, Tony always chooses to come home to me. And even went to, like, there's a time she made a comment about the kind, like, even being called, like, a nagging wife, that the kind of friends she hangs out with, even the ones who have nagging wives, they never go back home to their wives at night. They drink the night away. And you see, when someone is mentioning this is someone who's not even in marriage. And you're taking pride in ruining someone else's marriage. What business do you have to stay in a club with someone's husband at night, ati mnakunywa na bibi yake na watoto anamgoja nyumbani? And you see, those are the things I was thinking through, especially when I was being accused of murder. I'm thinking, but you're the same person. And that time, keep in mind, the entire time sijui Tony amekuwa KCB. So I'm just taking in the accusations. Like a lot was going through my head. Like, it was just heavy. It was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
It was
So Sophie, for Maria, what support do you think she needs right now? Like, honestly, it's too much happening.
Yeah.
And I saw Maria mention that she was actually looking forward to you being on the show. What would you like? Even the people who are listening, and I'll read comments again shortly. Sorry, it's just that also time. What can you What can you advise us? How can we help Maria? What should people do? What are things that people shouldn't tell Maria right now? We have the habit of just going and saying, "I know what you feel." No, I don't know what you feel, Maria.
No.
Or it's just that your path is, because we're in the same path, we're in the rugby fraternity, and you're like, what if it happened to me? Or it's scary enough to lose just a loved one, brother, sister, spouse. So Sophie, what support do you think should be accorded to Maria, and what can you advise Maria?
How much time do we have on matters? What not to say, how to support?
Yeah, what not to say. Let's start with what not to say.
What not to say? Gosh, okay. First of all, there's no manual on how to grieve or how to mourn. There is none. Let's put it this way. Maria, if you had an identical twin, yeah, and Tony had an identical twin, and you were both married to the twins, you two twins were married to those two twins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you both lost the twins at the same time, in the same manner. Everything controllable stands, everything is happening at the same time. You and your twin would still not react in the same way. People are different. We have individual differences. The things that make us human are not the same, even in the people who are as close to each other as possible, like twins. And so there's no code of how one should grieve. There's no, ati you must cry, ati you must do this. There are so many factors that come into play when you're considering how loss is dealt with, or how how the bereaved mourns that whole process. There's a matter of what other losses have you had? Are there other psychological issues this person is going through? Do they have physiological issues? Do they have a support system? Your culture, how you've been socialized, how you've been brought up, gender, a dude and a chick. All those things matter in when you're trying to figure out how to mourn. When you think of men are said not to talk, sindio? So when a dude has lost someone, and then another guy comes to support, men, they're like, hey, you guy, my guy, manze, Isa. They've communicated.
When they were bogos. When they were bogos to kunywa kamoja.
Yeah. They have, in that you guy, my guy, 30 seconds, they've communicated probably what a chick would say in an hour. And then chicks are said to process differently because apparently we talk. So what happens to a chick who doesn't talk much, an introvert? What happens to a man who is said not to talk and yet they talk a lot? So we have all these rules. We like putting people in boxes. Hiyo ndio number one. Wachana na hiyo maneno, yeah? So the thing we need to remember is that we need to support someone the way they want to be supported. So if Maria wants to talk about Tony until the cows come home, I don't know those cows are who, but if she wants to talk until those cows come, let her.
Let's leave her. Let her be.
Let her be. And then the thing, even asking a simple question like, what do you need? What can I do? You know, that leaves it open for someone who has lost someone to tell you exactly what they have at that point in time and then what their needs are. And sometimes they're like, I don't know, which is fine. So that means you sit with them until they figure it out. If they're crying, you hold them, you give them a tissue, you get them water. So if you need to sit in silence, then that's another thing you can do. Acknowledge the situation. So and so died. We like saying, oh, Sijui passed on, God has picked a flower.
So let's stop the God has picked the perfect flower. Guy, I'm guilty of that.
But the thing is, it's because we are scared. We never know what to say. We don't know what to say. It's part of God's plan. It's Sijui, he's in a better place now. How do you know? Who told you? Yeah? Start with, I'm sorry, offer help. What can I do? What do you need? And then you take it from there, because then that person is the one who's best suited to tell you what they need at that time. So those are some of the things that we should not do. What we can do is talk about the person who has gone. Speak about them.
So
by name.
There's some comments I'll read. Thanks, Sophie, for that. We have like 10 minutes. So Noel Roberts, Maria, someone calls Noel Roberts, says, tell Maria God loves her. Kisaga says, hugs. Nani Masi says, Maria, you're a strong lady. May God grant you your strength always. Gina Rihu says, hugs Maria. Liz, hugs Maria. Teacher Anne sends your teddy bear hugs, Maria. Still praying for you. Sheila Wahungu, may God give you strength. And then Nyasuba says, God give you strength, Marie and Shane. Oh, and by the way, that's Akim at the door again. He knows the timing, so ignore him. You're a strong woman. Thank you for being strong enough to share your story. And Wanja is watching. Baba Akim, thank you. Rahel says prayers and more grace. Lizzie is just like, Lizzie is a friend and she's like, oh, Maria hugs. Sending light and love from Latida. Dora Otieno is watching. Shiro Karimi, I know it's, as a married woman, you feel it. Maureen Matinde, we see you. Thank you, Peter Mina. Thank you. We've adjusted on the sound. So I'll continue reading as we go on. And then before I wind up, Maria, what are you feeling now? Like, this is someone you are with every other day, you share a bed with, and then you have let's talk about Shane now. Shane is autistic. So for those guys who are watching, Maria is a mother to an autistic child, and she's an advocate of that. They just realized and they started walking the journey with Shane. So, and I saw a video you posted about Shane, because first you'll explain for me, because you would know he's your son. Shane is autistic. How did he react after Tony died?
You see,
what was Shane's reaction?
Okay, the first day he was in the morning when he woke up. You see, he slept through the journey. The medics had Ivona Mai take him to my neighbor's place. At least when they break the news to me, because they didn't know what my reaction would be, so that I don't wake him up, or him waking up and finding his dad there. Keep in mind that the number of hours Tony was here. You see, this is someone who died, say, before 10 or some minutes after 10. And his body is living in the house around 3 in the morning. And by the time Tony was leaving this house, by the time
it's okay.
By the time
if you need some time, just
no, by the time his body was being taken in our house, by the my reaction down when they brought in the body bag. You have to factor in Tony was 6'1", so he couldn't fit in the body bag. Like an Engia kichwa is still outside, so they're trying to push it back in and tilt it on the side so that it can fit. Like when they're trying to zip it up, it was coming up to here. So I kept on telling them, "Si lazima, don't usimfinye, like it's like he's still there." So those that, and after it happened, I remember I followed Kinanyikuli to the house. And I requested for some moment with Tony. I needed to pray. I needed to talk to him. And you see, that time you have all sorts of emotions going through. But my biggest at the time, at that specific moment, there was so much anger. Keep in mind, I've never felt angry towards Tony for dying young. I've never felt angry towards God. Even now, I'm not even angry at God. But the anger I was feeling was, Adesh, I'm being accused of murder by someone who didn't even know what Tony ate, how Tony got by, how he managed to even pay his bills, how he managed, like to get to that. And this is someone I kept on getting Tony. Ongea naye. Like, I know me. I'm sure Tony is very gentle. So tell me, haiwezi kuwa hana ubaya. And you see, until someone comes and paints you as a murderer in front of your parents. Like, that person didn't even hurt me. She hurt my parents. Like, and they're going on and on and on and talking from a point of zero information. Because if you're calling someone your loved one and you have no clue that he's been out of work and he's been struggling, and even if he was struggling, he was fine. So there was that. So I went to them. Like, those are the things. Like, I was talking to him. Nika kwapo. So I told him, like, I promise you I'll take your option. And he knew, like, when it comes to my child, I'm protecting. Like, that is where I put the line. You can come at me, but you can never have a go. Like, you can never come at me using my son. So when I finished, I prayed. And the guy who came to pick Tony, Sammy from Umash, and my dad talked me into staying at home. They were like, we need to take Sam was telling me he works at Umash, as in there's no point of you going to Umash right now. Because what you're going to do, because it's a investigation, we're just going to chop him in a freezer. What you're going to do is you need to rest. You need to be home when your son wakes up. So you come in the mid-morning to start processing the paperwork. So you see, Tony's Albert was like, Maria, we can take it from here. And I knew Kina Fubu were there. Actually, Fubu is one who went through the trouble of calling Umash, making sure they ask, like he ran the show. Fubu is not even, like, there's a reason why I call the rugby fraternity my family. Because they've worked with us, they stood in the gap. Like, the show, other than my parents, if a point, they even took over from my parents. They're like, my parents are there. Like, should you if you need money, you just say. But the rugby fraternity read everything. They're the ones who made sure he slept in there. Zipped in his body bag, carried to the house. So after I finished talking to Tony, I've already been given the assurance there's nothing that is going to happen. Kumweka took a freezer or Ruby. So guys, go freshen up, wait for dawn so that we can start processing the paper. Now you see, the hardest bit is not even watching him. I think in a body bag, in a house. Because I had to go open the body bag. You see, after wameingiza kwa house, they put his head again back in the body. It was so squished. Now I had to open it. And you're there, you're talking to someone.
Because you're feeling like he's...
I felt as if they're suffocating him a bit. And you see, a deaf student, I used to go to the morgue, I'll talk to him, I'd pray. And when I'm done, I'd kiss him. I used to kiss him. Like, unaambia kwa heri, I'll see you some other time. It's like, tuonane in the morning, I have to be here for Shino. Wamesema, nikae na mtoto. So after that, when the house left, I went to my neighbors, picked my son, came back to the house.
Alone?
I dashed, no Kinevon were here. Actually, I kwanza Mbachi. You know Mbachi, Adesh?
Yes, Mbachi. Bless you.
Yeah. So by the time I'm coming up the house, imagine Mbachi and you share, like the Mbachi. So, but
the chef, master of all art.
So my neighbor lives on ground floor where Shane was sleeping. Adesh ubeba mtoto from first floor to second floor. I think that is the heaviest Shane has ever felt. I think watching that house go away, and Tony is never walking through that gate again, like on his own 2 feet. Then here you are, you're carrying a child, and it hits, like the responsibilities on you right now. Then you're like, what do I tell this kid, Akiamka? Because he knows, like, it's a school day.
Yeah, he has a schedule, like, exactly. He has a routine.
Yeah, but the third time he has slept through it, I'm carrying him up the stairs. My son felt heavy. Then you're feeling, I don't know, it's like you have like some lump in your throat, you want to cry, you don't know how to react. So by the time I'm getting in the house, but imagine they even watching back at my bedroom because police were there, things were scattered all over, there's mud. So they're telling me you need to rest a bit. So I went to Shane's bed, like I checked him in bed, I tried sleeping, but the entire time you just realize all you're doing is you're closing your eyes. You're not asleep. You're just closing your eyes. So I was like, since Shane is okay, I just need to go sit in the sitting room. And I kept staring at the spot Tony was the entire time. It's like, it may happen, you know?
Then
So that's
yeah,
what they said,
it's like
they finished washing the house. We just sat here. After their cookies, zile biscuits, I was telling Tony in the morning, after his favorite cookies, after wameenda wamechukua, we opened the pack. Now I'm telling them those are Tony's favorite cookies. Actually, I bought them for him. I know kuna that awkward moment.
Yeah.
It's like, ukianza kuongea like those were, they were his. So you're talking about Tony, that's the time it starts hitting you. In the morning, you realize you have to call the school and you tell them Shane can't come in today. Actually, I wanted to call the school, but nilishindwa. So I walked at around 6:50. That's when they usually come to pick him. So I went to the gate. Nimeshindwa. I don't know if it was so hard. Actually, my auntie who passed on is a person I texted alone. I just told her by then, even the kumekua. So when they hooted, I just had to walk down. And you see, there's the security guard. There's a student, she's looking at me. She doesn't know what to tell me. She's a bit scared. So I just go to the teacher. I'm just looking at her. I'm just staring at her. You're trying to utter, like words are not coming out. So at the end, I was like, and Shane can't come to school today. Unfortunately, his dad passed on usiku. And you see, he's the one aliopatia mtoto. Mbaka is like, wait. Unasema, I'm like, Tony died last night. Hata ndiye ametolewa kwa compound sahi. Coincidentally, the headmaster happened to be there. So akakuja. He was just in shock. It's like, what has just happened? It's like, this guy on Friday. It's Wednesday. So that's the time I told Shane can't go to school. The entire time Shane is still asleep. So when you woke up, Shane was in a very good mood. He was happy. He was upbeat. The one that was Wednesday, he knew nothing. And you see that time, keep in mind, Kinombachi are there. By the time we figure out what has just happened, what things are going through, people are just streaming in. The works are here, the fans are here. Some of them, you don't even know them, you just see them on the sideline. But everyone is mourning, everyone has been touched by this. And me, I kind of like posting, so I didn't mind it. So everyone is here, like his former, his coach, the person he coaches alongside with Sunshine was also here. So now there's the dilemma of we're waiting for Shane to wake up. And you see, ameamka kosawa. So there's also the dilemma of we now need to get to the mortuary. You see, that is one thing. We know he's gone. Until we go again to the mortuary, upatane hapo. Akwa amecover, then they have to open. And it's like trauma. Everything, it just happened. It's like everything is just new all of a sudden again. But after that incident, Shane was fine. On Wednesday, he was fine. Thursday, woke up well. Friday, decided it was his birthday. I want him to go to school because on Shane's birthday is when Tony's postmortem was scheduled. So I was like, I ended to Shule and they were taking him for like the kids for an excursion. So he had a really good day at school. But now you see there's this pattern. My son is already used to a routine.
Yeah.
Better even if we had to wait for Tony to get home. So even if Shane slept, we used to sleep on this chair. Now the entire time, Shane kept on waiting for the dad. The first few days, he just wait. And you see visitors are coming in from morning. Jioni wako hapa. It started I think it sank for Shane on Saturday now when people are just coming in and you're seeing the house is packed. And then like before when we're hosting visitors, dad is not here. And I noticed whenever the teammates were around, he'll walk between them, anaangalia, anaona hayuko. So at times
he's looking for his dad.
Yeah, it was hard. When KCB came as a team, Homeboys came as a team. So when guys are singing, when praying, he just walked between them. I know he's going staring at their faces. Keep in mind, this is an unverbal child, yeah? He's trying to support them. Because what are the odds that all these people are here and my dad is not? So it was hard for Shane. It was hard for Shane. So I think that is how we can noted that something was very off. At that point, it was no longer about, because Tony traveled quite a lot. So he knew, like, from the way, because from Saturday, we'd find him, at times he'd sneak out of the house. You'd find him standing at the balcony. He's just crying silently. Tears are just flowing. And see, the toughest bit has been watching my son suffer. Then I'm turning 30, my dad is alive. So for Shane, Tony strains, I can say it also strains anchor. So this guy hasn't come home. It was just hard. It was just hard.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and Maria, before we wind up, for just the people who are watching, I see people are really following your story. I don't know. Again, we make plans. God laughs. I'll mention God because again, I believe, and you have mentioned. How do you think we can support you as a society? Do you need any help? Are you struggling anyhow? For anyone who's watching and just wants to reach out to you as Maria, where do you think we can come in as society, and even as someone who's widowed, or even for the widowers, even for the men who've lost their wives, where do you think, what should stop, and where can we help you? Can we help you join a support group? Sophie will tell us where there are groups you can join. Do you want to be alone? Like, just, this is your platform.
Okay, I'll start with what should stop. You see, when someone, number one, never compare the grief to someone else's grief.
Yeah.
And, the way I process stories.
Sorry, Maria, 1 second. Imagine Akim is a guest in this show every time. He's banging the door.
The benefits of going live.
Yeah,
Live and uncut.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, live and uncut.
I can say, I don't
Yeah.
from the moment Tony died, when he was pronounced dead, we were waiting for the police. My neighbors were here. And we have like our own committee at Kipepeo. So we have one we normally call the chairman. So I know chairman is Catholic, and I've been raised in Catholic home. So he asked me, what is it that we can do for you? And the first thing that came at the top of my head was, we need to pray the rosary. Kambe not only is here, I'm a watcher, but we need to pray the rosary. For the simple fact that we have to, there is eternal rest. Because I know like none of it, we had so much planned revolving around business, his family, and death was never among them. And I've seen how he's struggling with accepting conditions. So I knew what it meant for Tony to be here for this, and Tony was a present father. No one can ever take that away from me. So so my first response was, we pray as we're waiting for my parents to get here, as we're waiting for the medics and all. So we started praying the rosary. By the time after the cops were getting here, it was almost we're almost done. We were like we had like a couple of bits to do. So that was my first response, and I found like this point prayer there. Like if there's one thing stood around when it came to Tony, the one thing we failed was we hardly ever went to church. But through it all, we maintained our faith, and we've honestly seen God in our life. And there are times, like life kept on throwing curveballs. Like in 2018, I got an internship. He lost his job. My internship ended. Now we're home. Rugby, I'm in here. 15 years featured. The season is over. Immediately, season in Mesha, diagnosis comes. And it was like a lot was happening so much at a time. And at any given time, Tony was a positive thinker. Like he had his way of me. I struggle with the fear of the unknown, handling I think so much about the future. But he was like, he can't later.
For women, for all, for ladies, that's how we are built.
Yeah, so I worry too much. Yeah, but for Tony was like, as long as we make poor, tomorrow is another day. We get to try another day. So what I can tell people, as in, actually the greatest thing you can do is pray for us. And I swear by God, because I've seen God's grace from the night Tony died to the day he was buried. Because there are certain things that the night he died, the first thing we did was pray. The family was not here. So by the time the person was coming with accusations, I was expecting a very ugly reaction. So I knew they were going to cause drama. But murder was the last thing. It was the last in my head. But you see, your time the police even, and there was a lady police who's a Kamba. And see, people don't know I'm a Kamba. So I'm Tony Nyango. People assume that I'm a Luo as well. So she mentioned that kumbe this is a couple who are fighting. Make sure the DCI knows so that they can carry out this investigation thoroughly. Because chances are these guys are not getting along. And you see, and immediately that is the next thing. Akaropo did Tony get on from the castle? Tony had been out of the castle. That was like my first moment is like, but the God is here. Like he's here. After I went to the morgue, there was also another confrontation there. Something really ugly happened. But then again, it's death. People grieve differently. But even after that, we managed to find the body. Because when I went to Mash, nilinyimwa mwili. But after that, my mom was there, our family was there. We just prayed. We gave the session. Like, he's just an amazing man. He's a really, really amazing man. Like, that man has stood by me. He acknowledged the pain. He came here. Because I didn't know. Unambiaje mtu. So, and that was the following day after Tony had died. And in his speech, Baba Tony said, amepoteza mtoto. And he couldn't even look at him talking. But there's something he said, and I think that day is when I cried out of grief. He said he has lost a child. But if there's someone who has lost the most, it's me. Because he said, I've lost my lover and I've lost my partner. And akasema, the loneliness that is going to affect me afterwards is going to be something that is too much to bear. And the fact that my pain, even before I actually acknowledged my own pain, even before I actually made peace with the situation I'm in. So that helped. So I can tell you for a fact, because my prayer from that point on, with the garbage going on, with noise coming from all sides, it has always been God. Give me grace, give me strength. As long as I have grace and as long as I have strength, there's always favor that comes from God. And when it comes to Tony, I can tell you without a doubt, anything I could do for this man, I did. Anything I couldn't do, I tried. Ila unajua hii hawezi, but I'm just trying. At least I'd rather fail knowing that I tried. And you see, that so much peace. Because, like, for the short time he was here, I gave it my all. Like, there was never 50-50 about this relationship. I went all. And when I'm telling you that, the other thing I need to emphasize on, you see, in a relationship, in marriage, there are people who always have an opinion about your union, about your relationship. And it's not even about family at times, as in the tribes, the different tribes you're coming from, because people are just people, and people will always have ulterior motives. Because some, you know, some people never experience what Tony and I had. We travel everywhere, and to some, if you ask them, that will be nilikuwa namfuatafuata kila mahali. It's like I was.
Oh, you were that nagging wife and girlfriend kumfuatafuata. Amwachi apumue.
Interpret my support to him as being me monitoring all his movements. Any player can tell you that it's a glorious moment when your partner can actually support you through the passion. And it's even after I became a mother, it's following me around. So, but I think when you let this noise get to you, you're definitely going to break up. If you're outside, and the one thing people fail is you say you're blocking out the noise. It's like you're going to block out the noise from outside. You're going to focus on your relationship. You're going to focus on your relationship. But then again, this entire time, my son is here. So this entire time, you're going to block out the noise. You're saying you're going to block out the noise. You're going
to Oh, that's Shane. Hi, Shane. Hi, Shane.
So you're saying you're going to, but this entire time, you start punishing your man as a result of what people are saying. So if you're going to block out the noise, you're going to go for it. Regardless of what people are saying, you should never, ever use the garbage from outside to punish you. And I think that is one thing I learned, because I think a better part of 2018, I really punished him for things people used to do to me and things people used to say to me. And I think after 2018, he had an episode where he was in hospital. So I think for me, that was my eye opener. Like, I can't keep punishing. Like, I was in hospital for almost 4 days. And Adero Ocholler was there. No one other than his brother, and no one ever visited. No one.
Okay.
But because Tony made me swear that I won't tell his parents. Because his phobia was hataki people to worry about him. But see, this is supposed to be in hospital for 1 day for a checkup. And you're going up to the 4th day. And he's going to blame whatever that could have happened. But anyway, it ended up being, actually, it was nothing serious per se. He was actually well. But you see, that face, you've already said, like, despite everything you're going through, we're going to stick through this thing. And you see, by the time, at your time of sorrow, at your time of struggling, when you're literally, all you have is each other. Like, it's just you and him. You have to pull through, and you can't. I think for me, that was my I don't want to say my type of reckoning per se, because I think at some point in 2017, 18, I really punished him. Like, mtu wenu anikosea ama rafiki yako anikosea, I'll hold it against him. And you know, Tony is not the kind of a man who will speak up. He will keep quiet, and he'll just block you out. You're just there calling Tony. Mbona come kunitembelea? Why am I not seeing you? Anakwambia nitakaa tu, and he'll just avoid. That was his way of handling things. But now you see, for me, when he didn't speak up, I started getting frustrated. So I thought he's enabling this, because when you like, silence is like acceptance, you know. All I can tell people, like, never punish your partner for mistakes of other people. Like, don't go there. And I think when I learned that I'd punished him so much in 2018, after that episode of him being at the hospital, for me it was an eye opener. So I was like, now from this point on, it's just going to be me and you. Whatever issues we have, we sort it out between me and you. Yeah, and that's why I think it's one of the things I can say. Like, my heart is at death. I gave it my best.
And I applaud you for that, Maria. You know me, I always look at you and I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how you do it. Sophie, maybe you can add, like the way I've asked Maria, I already asked you what people should not do. Maybe tell us how Maria can be supported. Maria, remember, even this platform, and that's why we've even gone past time, is so that you can, I think, I'm hoping it's a way for you just to release and tell your story. Please don't tire telling your story. And Sophie, maybe you can also advise Maria on what she can do. I'm imagining like a face, the last thing, a face where Tony's trophies, beautiful trophies are there. Tony was a legend. Tony was a superstar. And just like the whole aspect of like now where she has to put his clothes away, or, you know, like moving stuff that and it's just her and Shane in the house. So apart from that, what support can Maria look for? What support can we help her with? And Maria, that also entails anything to do with job, monetary. Like, don't be afraid. This is a platform we've created for you to speak out. Yeah, and that's the most we can give you. And maybe there's someone who's watching who'd like to help you. And guys, I can see your comments. Let me just read like 5 comments. Sorry if I don't read all your comments. There are many comments, and I appreciate all of you. Nate says, I'm finding it very hard. Losing a loved one is a pain that can't be expressed. Tuzo, thanks for watching. Ambi, thanks for watching. Sami Letting, thank you. Lizzie says that she thought it was from her end. Becky, I see you. Chelenga, thanks for watching. That's Chela. Eunice Olembo. Oh yeah, my sound had an issue, but I hope you can hear me now.
Yeah,
it was the earphones. Then Amani, okay, the noise. We're sorry about that. Abangi, thanks for watching. V-Boy, thank you. Fan from Nakuru. Amani says that was insensitive. Maria, and I'm glad that you let it out. People are touched. Brian Misumi, thank you. And they tell you to stay strong. Remember, if I've not read your comment, it's not that I'm ignoring. It's just that we were giving a platform for Maria. And so, Sophie, how can we help Maria? And then Maria can tell us just about what to advise other widows, and then we wind up like in the next 10 minutes. This is a sensitive and long topic. Yeah.
I'll say this again, that loss and grief and mourning is a very personal journey. It's a very personal journey. And so we do these things on a case-by-case basis, because now you have to look at the attachment and the meaning someone has assigned to that loss, to the person they have lost. It's a whole host of things. You look at loss, and when you look at what someone has lost, other than that tangible individual, there's the role that person played within the family, his or her immediate family, and the larger group. You know, for instance, we all know that L.in.K, who's always the MC. Yeah, at all these two functions we go to, there's always that uncle anakwanga MC. So if something happens to that guy and you lose him, how many people have lost him? Because now who is going to be the MC? Then they're remembered that way, or that auntie who makes the best rice, whatever it is. So when you lose a loved one, you don't just lose the person or the body or the individual, but you lose a lot of things: the relationship, their roles, who they were at home, at work, wherever, their social lifestyle and all that. How to cope? Support network. Build your support network. And Maria, I like what you said, because we need practical help, isn't it? The guys who are with you on that material day, cleaning your house, cooking, doing what? If it's things you're even remembering 4 months down the line, it means it had an impact on you. So offering practical help is always number one. It's always key. Your own self-care. It's important for you to take care of yourself, because now you're dealing with a new status. There's been a shift in your life cycle. Yeah. At the stage in your life you are in, you are dwelling on building your family and, you know, your relationship with your husband and your role as mom, your role as aunt, you know, now because you're part of another family. But now you've been forced into another status. You've been shifted into another part of your life that you are not prepared for. These are things we imagine will happen, if ever, in our 70s, 80s. Yeah, like you said, you turn 30 and your dad is still there. So your heart is bleeding for your son. So now being aware of where you are at in your life and taking care of yourself and doing those two things that actually help you feel better, like the writing. So already you're miles ahead in self-care. You're doing things that are helping you pull through. Another important aspect is our basic needs. How do you help someone and their basic needs are not met? There are widows who are struggling. Maybe they don't have food and shelter and clothing. How do you expect them to process this and work through this if their basic needs are not met? And another thing is memorializing your loved one. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with remembering Tony, talking about Tony, saying Tony. You know, I like how you keep saying his name. These are things that we all get scared. There's fear attached to dying, and that is universal. We are scared of even saying the word dead, death, dying. We don't talk about dying. You guys had a very deep conversation a week prior. You talked about things many couples do not talk about. Wills, what to do with me if I go, talking about cremation. Manze, that conversation had so much taboo in it that you have to be applauded. Cindy, these are conversations we shy away from. And why? Because now you're going to be left in another situation, God knows when, and you're just left there hanging. So having these conversations is important. In terms of other support, go for therapy, go for counseling, whatever you want to call it. It's such a journey, because now I can't even start telling you what we do in therapy on this. We don't have enough time. Adesh is about to chomoa us, and our IT people at the back are saying, cut it out. So go for therapy. Go for therapy. It's done at your own pace. Support groups are another key thing. There are women who probably have come together and formed a support group. There are a few resources that I can probably share later on in the comment section that could help. You could have a support group where a group of women who have gone through a similar experience come together and form their own group. So it's an open group. Or we could even now take it a step further and say, there are women who are between this age and that age who are recently widowed and want to have like a proper therapeutic group. And that's always something that we can arrange. So just tapping into our resources and saying what you need, those are things that we can always work out. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Maria, the last bit. Tony's things are in your face, his clothes are there, his shoes are there. I don't even want to ask about the last clothes he wore and whether they were given to you.
Yes, they were.
How are you dealing with that?
This is the strange bit. Okay, I have everything with me. Like nothing was taken from me. And what I did was, unlike other people, you know how people keep clothes that weren't washed, like to remember him with his smell? Like, I don't think that is something you forget. So for me, Tony, I took pride, a lot of pride on him being clean. So I had to get his clothes washed. Even the clothes, when they finished the postmortem, I was given the clothes. Actually, the brother took them, then he handed over to me. His firstborn brother, Albert, he handed over the clothes to me. Like, I wanted them. It's one of those things you keep, and I have a matching T-shirt. Sometimes I wear it, yeah, probably to sleep. But yeah, it kind of helps. And I think, I don't know if you follow, what was her name? Ikua, Janet Ikua. I watched a show he was being hosted about him talking about how one day he went home and he found that I don't know if it was a relative or a friend, who had taken away everything that belonged to the wife. And for him, he was talking about how cruel that is. And until you get to that point, like I think I got to that point of I understood where he was coming from, because I felt like that was that person invaded their privacy. Like, they meant well, like they wanted him to move on. But this thing is gradual. You just don't wake up today and decide nime move on. Like for me, I know Tony is gone. You see, I still have his photos, I have his medals, I still have, like, I had his jersey framed, things like those. Because even for me, moving on, like, see, people tell me to move on, like I can always get remarried. Someone has even thrown in a very funny phrase, like there are men on the side of the family who are like, who can inherit me. But even beside that, you see, you don't wake up one day. Like, I had 10 years with Tony, and this was
Yeah.
an amazing, amazing person. So you just don't get rid of someone that easily. You take it at your own pace. Like for
Yes.
me, chucking the shoes from his shoe rack was a very troubling experience. Like just seeing an empty shoe rack by my bedroom door. That was so hard. Like, I had to sleep in Shane's room for like a night or two. But when everything was clean, when I came back from the funeral, I arranged his clothes, arranged his shoes. There's some like I got rid of. Like, those are the ones that is because Rebecca. But the rest, there are those things you keep for your son, because my son is really, really tall. So, and I was like, I knew how much Tony loved his merchandise. So, and those are the things I keep for Shane, which is like almost 95% of his wardrobe. But it's like, this is a piece of your father you'll have wanted, regardless of whether you venture into rugby or not. But then again, you're asked about what I do with them. Like, I literally put them back where they used to be. The only alterations I made was now when I chucked his shoes from the shoe rack, I had to make space on the side of the cabinet, like where I used to keep his kits and some of his paperwork. So I moved the paperwork, and that is where I put the shoes. But everything is there. And I noticed the nights I sleep with my sons, the nights that can be really lonely. You notice that he's struggling, he's crying. And for a long time, I didn't know what to tell him. So I never really spoke about his death per se. I just used to tell him, like, Daddy is at a good place, Daddy is at a happy place, Daddy is at peace. Because I honestly feel as if John is at peace. Even if he's struggling a bit, I know, like, he's at a good place. So there's a night, that one of those nights where I had to discuss it. It's like, Daddy left us, but wherever he went, he is at peace. And Shane is non-verbal. He's 4 years old. I didn't quite know if he understood me, but from that day, he's never had another emotional breakdown. Like, I think that is the first time I cried in front of my son, like the way he could see me crying. So I started off with wiping his tears. He ended up with him wiping my tears. And I think we just bonded over that. And from that day, Shen has been okay. Other than that, there are a couple of nights when he sleeps in my room. At first, I used to sleep with him quite a lot. And he'd wake up in the middle of the night to play. And at the time, I'm so tired, I can't even hear him. So there's a night I woke up, say, minutes to 3 in the morning. And I find Shane in his dad's side of the cabinet. He had already like opened it. He was looking at his dad's clothes. Then it hit me that very many times I go to my bedroom and I find that his side of the closet, the doors seem to be a bit open. It's not like how I left it. So that night it hit me, like every time I wake up and I find like the doors have moved a bit. This is exactly what he does. Like, he wakes up in the middle of the night. He goes to. Nowadays I sleep on Tony's side of the bed. I don't know. Like, I just find it comforting, like sleeping at his side of the bed. So I noticed and the days I'd wake up, like the portrait at the back is usually at my side of the bed. So I'd notice where I kept it is not where I find it. So that morning is when I realized, like, Shane normally picks it. He walks around the room with it. He'll kiss it. He'll hug it. and he'll go look at his dad's clothes. And I think somehow he has figured out, like, if this is how his clothes are, like, however we leave them is how we find them. And I think for him, maybe he's gained acceptance, or he knows, like, there's some finality to whatever we're going through, because there are no changes. Like how you
Some
live,
insight.
how I lived, like how I folded them months ago, it's exactly how they are up to now. So you see, I can't take them away, because I have my time to think about. A number of people have told me to take down his medals, his trophies, his pictures, but I can't take away like everything. I have to factor in my son is there. Like for me, I'm not yet ready to lose that part of Tommy. And should I ever date again? This is something people have asked me. Like, are you going to pull them down? If you cannot accommodate like this side of me, you have no business being with me, because he has to remain there. This is a special needs child. Yeah? He has to remember he had a father, because you can't. This is an non-verbal child. He doesn't talk. So when you're making changes, like everything is happening so fast, and you're making drastic changes, it's not even fair on the child. Even if he knows the father is not there, you can't start pulling down photos, like taking every single aspect of him, of Tony, away from Shane.
Yeah.
So for us, our resolvers, we keep them there. We keep them there. You find him staring at photos, and he has found his peace. He has found his place.
And you set a routine for him, which is
Maria.
what you usually do. So it's a new routine that is already adjusted to, and that's the best thing you could have done.
Yeah.
It also helps him, and even though he's nonverbal, autistic kids are so brilliant in what they take in. Yeah, what they just because they can't tell us what they've seen or what they were going through doesn't mean they don't understand. They've seen and they've taken note of what's happening, and they've gained insight in their own way. They have their own way of communicating with the external world. What we don't know is how much of it they actually take in their own internal world, and they take in a lot. So you've
Yeah.
done well in showing him that his father is still around in some way, shape, form. If he's walking around the house with his picture, that's just amazing. That's beautiful. So kudos to you for looking out for number one now. Your boss.
I know my life literally revolves around my child.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
I stayed back in Migori for a week after we buried the dad. And during the funeral, even during the memorial service in Nairobi, I just had to make a very selfish decision on behalf of Shane. Like I didn't want him anywhere near the coffin, because I knew, I've seen how Shane, he'd go to bed. Like when he wakes up and he comes to a bedroom, if I leave the door open, he'll just like go, like hold on to the dad and pull himself up to support his own weight and bandie kwa kitanda. So my fear was, if he sees a coffin, and for the past 2.5 weeks, people have been coming to our home. This man isn't coming home, and he is behind a glass. You know, like it was a
he'll
lot.
want to touch you.
I had to make that decision for him. I don't know whether I did the right thing, but then again, I knew seeing his dad there, and maybe you'll have perceived it as rejection, because how do you just sleep? You're not even receiving me. You're not even talking to me. You're not even engaging me. It was like, I had to make that decision. Like Shane won't view. Like he was around the church, but he was not in the church. The same thing with the dad's funeral. Like we kept him at my father-in-law's house. There's like a balcony where you just lock. We find that he can follow the funeral procession. He can see there's a coffin. There are photos of, like, when he saw Tony's photos, he became so happy. Like he was just there checking his, there's like he gets happy, and there's a certain noise that comes when he gets too excited. Yeah. So, and it see flowers. So the entire time he was just there. And by the time after we were going to lower Tony's body, like now the final stretch, Shane was not a part of it. Like even my mom kept on pushing. Like even my nanny was like, "Apana, you need to go with Shane. At least I'm gonna give back in Changa." I was like, I'm not even ready to explain that bit of my son seeing the dad in a casket, him being lowered in a hole, and us chucking soil at him. I think it was like too much for a child to process, especially with his disorders, because something to us it seems like something so small, but that is something that can make this kid regress. Like he can go back and lose all the milestones he has achieved already. So I kept him away from that. He never even got to see the father's grave before we buried Tony. But something very strange happened. The following day, on Saturday in the morning, we woke up, we went to the grave. And Shane chose to go through the main house. He like got through in the kitchen all the way to the sitting room. Me, I went around the house. So I'm waiting for Shane at the main entrance. I realized this kid is not coming out. So I peep inside and I asked them, have you seen Shane? They're like, I'm a talker. But I'm like, I can't see him. Then the next thing I'm hearing, Shane's voice coming from the grave. Somehow he had figured out where Tony was. And for the week we were there, it became a routine. In the morning we'll go, we sit at the dad's grave, and he'll take my phone, he'd listen to music, he'd play music on YouTube. And it's mostly the songs that kept on coming up. These are songs that Tony used to listen, and we'd stay there for like close to an hour. And for me, by morning, that was enough for me for the day. So I'd go back. I was staying at the grandmother's house. So Gioni, he'd pull, because he doesn't talk, he'd pull either my nanny and my cousins, because they're there. They stayed with me through the entire week I was there. So in the evening, Shen will drag them back to the dad's grave and he'll play around it. And when he's done, he'll take his hand, take their hands and he'll pull them back to bring them where I was. So he was drawn to it somehow. And I don't know, it helped him cope. Because other than the few incidents he has had of breaking down at night, from the week we came back, even before we went to Migori, he had a number, like the nights were really, really tough for him. But it's like he adjusted to a routine. Like now someone else has to put him to bed, mommy has to put him to bed, the nanny is the one who's going to be taking him to the van of me. So yeah, he's adjusting. He's just adjusting.
Yeah.
So we've introduced, like, with the therapist, there's a lady called Faith. Faith works at Kenya Institute of Special Education, KISE. So Faith explained to me, she's a functional assessor. So she called when he came back, and she was explaining to me the good thing, which can also be a bad thing about autistic kids, is how they thrive on routine. Yes. And when you take something out of their routine, they instantly form a new routine. You see, like for me, how I'm struggling to grieve, like I'm always writing about the father, I'm always talking about Tony. Shane, he might not do that, but he knows, like, at the end of the day, he can, like, move around, stare at the dad's photos, go play with his medals. But he knows, like, from morning, dad is not here, certain things have to be done. So Faith was explaining to us that he'll adapt very fast to the new routine, because they thrive on routine. So for Shane, the new routine, I think now his dad, the way he sees him through the portraits.
Yeah. Oh my God, Maria, this is just deep. What you're going through is deep. As in, can I use that word? Maybe Sophie didn't want me to use it, but I'll just say I'm proud of you. Like, I don't know how to have handled it. I don't even the thought, when you try and imagine losing someone in your life, even the thought, and it's been crazy on you, but I want to applaud you. Once again, there are guys who've sent comments. Remember, guys, I can't read all your comments, but Maria will definitely respond to your comments. She'll see the love that's coming through. Chinka says, I love you guys. Blue hearts all the way. Maria, I see you. Christina Wenga, thank you. Hugs to Maria and everyone who's going through these shares. Thank you for logging in. Liz, hugs to Maria. Esther Mkai, Paul, Sana, Maria. Says there are some insensitive people out there. I can't begin to imagine what you must have gone through. Paul, Sana. Abangi, hugs. Tina Okuku, thank you for watching. Shiro, yes, hugs to Shane. Lizzie, thank you, Maria, for sharing your story. Babakin, God bless Shane Onyango. Njoki Waweru, thanks for watching. Cornelius, this is so touching. May God be with Maria. Noreen, we see you. Sikli Atikana, yes, Karen Kenya, she's a very big supporter. Maria, your strength is so admirable. It's so hard to hear your story, but the way you tell it, you're phenomenal. Maria, remember, you're phenomenal. And Kaya, thank you for logging in. Teresa Road. Yes, so I see you guys. Celia, thank you. Winnie, Kisia. Gosh, I feel like calling out everyone. DC Kirui, Kubasu. Thank you guys for watching. Maria, remember, this is a platform. It was a platform for you. Thank you so much. We share the memories of Tony. We keep them here. Let no one tell you when to move on, as Sophie said. Sophie, thank you so much. People needed to hear this, even from the aspect you've given and what you've told us. There's some things I know and I appreciate. And now we know the things not to say. So yes, from all of us from the L.in.K team, thank you so much, Maria, for even just accepting. 4 months, someone might still be like, I don't want to talk to people. I want my phone off. Leave me alone. You're still holding a grudge about people stuff about you, but you're so mature about it, and you're still so young. You're only 30. Some of us supposed to be saying hala hala hala, and I wouldn't have reacted like that. I'd be over there. I'd have chomwad my imbalas and I'd be wearing big earrings. But like the way you handle stuff, I'm just so amazed by your maturity. And I guess, as you said, it's God's grace. Remember, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, follow us at L.in.K on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any comments, please keep them coming. Maria will, in her own time, talk about them. Maria, please tell us your Instagram handle.
It's at love personified _ autismmom.ke.
Yes. And Sophie, we will post their handles on the page. Today we've gone 2 hours, but Yani, I've seen you guys are watching, because this is a message close to the heart. So Maria, your final word.
My final word, well, like I've told you, like the best thing, actually, there are people who tell me like I'm not in a financial position to support you, but all I can do is pray. All I can tell you, actually, that is the best thing you can do to us. Because at times it's hard, especially when you're watching your child struggling, or especially when you have these struggles. Like me, I'm in between jobs, so I'm kind of like still searching. I have something, it's nothing permanent, yeah. But the fact that someone else is praying for me, the fact that someone else is standing in the gap for me, especially when I'm weak, sometimes I can't even pray. I start praying and I can't even get through the end of it. That is already enough. That is the most someone can do. And the other thing, what I can tell, my biggest support has been, there's a lady called Tete Yan on Facebook. I met her through my neighbor, Winnie Akoth. Winnie also lost her husband 2 years ago. And they've literally helped me. And it's through, I think I went through a phase where I was so bitter about everything. So Winnie had to consult Tete Yan. And you see, I would have gotten very angry at this because I confided in you about something and you're here talking to someone else. But you see, when it comes to widows, there's something Adesh can tell me and I'll get angry because I'll tell Adesh, you at the end of the day, you're going to bed with Mojo. Me, my tone is not here. And I'll not want to listen to you. But the same thing you tell me and I don't want to listen to, another widow will tell me, and it's like, hey, Nabede, she makes a lot of sense. So when Winnie reached out to Tete, and I was going through a phase of a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness from people around us mostly. So there's something Tete told me, actually told Winnie to tell me, and that is when you're mourning, you have to appreciate that people mourn differently. And despite the fact that you can be fought, people can fight you, especially when it comes to family. You shouldn't let that make you so bitter to the point of resenting your husband. You have to honor his memories, and you have to. The moment you accept one thing, normally I usually tell people when you get into marriage, you need to know. Kwa hiyo boma, you are an outsider. As much as there's acceptance, as much as they tell you they love you, these things can go. As in, people turn against you super fast. And I've always been telling people in marriage, always be protective of your space. But you see, Tetian made me see it from a different angle. You see, I was protective of my space before, but here's Tetian telling me, like, you need to understand, even the side of our families, when people are grieving, people are going to mourn. And then, like, you see, Babatoni already acknowledged, if there's someone who has lost the most, it's Maria. But someone else in the same family will feel as if she doesn't know what you're going through because Maria is not flesh. Maria is not our blood. Maria is not our family. Maria has not lost her own flesh and blood. As in her, she was just the girlfriend, she was just the wife, but it was like pretty much it. So it took Tetian for me to understand that it's okay, even when they tell you, like, when they make the grief seem about them and they make your partner's death feel as if it's nothing to you, like they're hurting more than you. You just let them be, because that is how they're processing it. And for me, they're also mourning, and even if that is the way they choose to handle it, as angry as it can make you, like, let them have their own moment. They're his family, but you always know what you meant to your partner. Because you see, the night he died, he literally got home to die. Like I usually say, if Tony was late, we'd say like 5 more minutes. He would have ever died in a public transport, in a matatu, or on his way walking back from the stage here. But that night, he had, like, his time was up. But Tony chose to come home to me. And that is one thing Tetian made me understand, that Tony chose me, even at his dying hours, at his last final hours. He could have easily gone elsewhere. Like, his sister lives at Karinde. Karinde is, it's the same fare coming to. From Karen, Karinde is actually closer than Go. But Tony would have chose to go to the parents. Oh, not to the sister's place. And it's almost, it's the same fare, but it's closer to my place. Tony would have also chose to go to his mother's house. But even when the team, the coach, they kept on telling him, Tony, you need to go to the hospital. He told them, no, I have to get home to Maria and Shane. I have to see them before they sleep. And you see, for me, that is enough. Like, at first I was angry, like, I wish someone told me alikuwa na complication, because I know me, like if I pick that phone nikwambie my friend tunapatana hospitali, haukuji Ngong, tunapatana usiku. But you see, he chose to come home, and I think in his own weird way, maybe he knew or maybe he didn't know, but he had purpose to come home to with Maria and to with Shane. And like, that is enough. That is enough. Yeah. And for people, the other thing I want people to know, like when you're, sorry, I'll move it a bit because of lighting. It's even getting worse. So when it's come to grieving, like how I process things, like I told you, it's something that is also new to me, because death, I really struggle with death. There's a reason why I keep very few friends, because my biggest phobia about making friends is someone dying and I don't know how to handle it, because it's something that traumatizes me years down the line. So after when Tony died, the way I reacted, it was talking to everyone else. But it's only my father who knew. Like, I remember there's someone who told me that my dad, your daughter is very strong. I can be, no, I know my daughter. That is not strength. What you're saying is broken. Like, she's broken. She's broken. All we need to do is stand in the gap for her and make sure, like, we're there for her until she pulls through any of it. And there's one thing I want to tell people. You see how normally mtu anakufa, then people come and tell you from their own experiences. I want people to understand one thing. As a widow, you never compare my loss to your divorce. Never ever compare my loss to your breakup. Never ever compare my loss to the death of your father, your mother, your sister, your pet. Like, it will never be the same. And never take your loss to be like the fact that you overcome the loss of a loved one. Don't use it to like gauge how I'm supposed to react to certain things. Like, how people react is different. Like I said, for me, I personally shocked myself. Like, I'm actually impressed because my life revolved around Tony. And if you asked me back then, I would have told you, like, hi, there's no me without Tony. Like, Neil and Kwana, like, this is something that in my head, this is something that would have killed me. But you see, at the end of the day, I'm a mother. I'm a mother first. Not even, I worry about my parents. Like, you see, I'm a daughter, and for them, this is something new. Like, I'm their firstborn. They're still together. They've never lost a child. So they're caught up with mourning Tony. And they're also caught up in the dilemma of like, okay, so how do we help our child? Because we've never been in such a situation before. So you see, I have to pull through. In the morning, I have to get up. I have to dress up. I have to show up for my parents. And then again, there's Shane. I'm all Shane has left. I find I have the support of my family. I have the support of a number of friends. But then again, I am all he needs. I am all like Shane has left. Like now, I can choose. Like, I think there are people. I appreciate the fact that people react to this thing differently. There are people who are going to shut down. There are people who can like be paralyzed by the pain. But personally, for myself, I just purpose like every day I woke up. Like I told you, I usually pray for grace and I pray for strength, and I tell God that, like whatever. I usually have this motto that whatever lies ahead, God is already there. And I kept on reciting the same thing through over and over again. That no matter what lies ahead, God is already there. People tell me that God is the provider of the widows and the orphans. I love to believe that. And that is a good thing, as in it's a constant reminder. But this thing of coming and telling a widow, you need to cry like you never cried enough for Tony. You don't know the number of times I have to bite that pillow so that my son doesn't hear me crying. Like people saying, someone even told me, like the way I conducted myself during the period, that I should have sat down and let people do things for me. But the reason why I used to get up and open the coffin or like dust it off is because no one else was doing it. Or I don't know. And you see, I've been taking care of Tony for the longest time, since we're in our early 20s, like say 22, 23, because at the time I was in campus, I lived with him for like a whole year. So for me, making sure he was clean, like making sure like things are up and running is my normal. So when you tell me to sit back and watch things, like for some, it makes sense. For me, it didn't. Because I know Tony and I know how Tony loves things getting done. And I know like the way he loves things to be arranged in a certain order. So if things are not taking the correct course, I step up and I do it. And so that was my way of grieving, like just making sure he has a decent send-off, like his coffin is presentable. People are not going to view him and the glass is covered with dust from the previous day of traveling. No. The photo, like now after his portrait kept on falling down because someone kept on putting it on a chair. So I just got up and went and like supported it on his coffin. I put it on the ground. I was like, yeah, it looks good. It looks presentable. Because in my head, it's like, okay, this is how Tony would have done it. Knowing Tony and how he organizes things. Because this is someone, you're married to someone who falls May just chuck nguo. As long as I throw it in the laundry basket, I'm fine. The purpose of a laundry basket is to put your dirty clothes in there. But Tony was different. Tony will fold dirty clothes and put them in a laundry basket. So I knew there's a certain order. Like I stayed with him for close to a decade. As in, I know him. So for me, like I know it was tough on people, and I respect the fact that people are grieving him. Like his fans are his fans. I can never, ever like take that away from him. His friends are his friends. I can never take that away from him. But this thing of people coming to tell me when you're like sit back and let people do things for you. You have no idea how Tony likes his things done. Let me do things the way I like them done, the way he likes them done. Because anyway, I'll never get a chance to do them away. So you honor your partner by like, doing the things you used to do to the last bit. You only rest wakati mwili imewekwa. Once the body went down, I was now free to settle, relax,
Yeah. Maria, thank you so much again. We as Oink team, we are so happy that I hope this platform has given you just a bit of relief. We can't say that you're still on a journey. And before I finish, Sophie, just 5 seconds of what you'd like to tell Maria and anyone else who's watching, and then we wind up the show in a bit. So,
okay, let me just say one thing. Someone said this to me about a year ago, and I've found it so profound. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me? Okay. So just a quick one. This was told to me about a year ago by a good friend of mine. Ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. So don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. When you think about how a ship navigates the oceans and things, just think about the magnitude of the weight that's around them, but they don't let it get into them.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thanks. So, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is Oink. We do this live every Saturday. If you have any comments, please keep them coming. If you have anything we want us to cover, any topic that you feel will help society, because that's what we're all about. We appreciate if you have someone you want us to bring onto the show. Thank you. Remember, you can follow Maria on her handles on Facebook, on Instagram. She's doing a great job on autism awareness because Shane is autistic and walking the journey with him. And it's a double blow to her, but she's come out like victorious. Sophie, thank you ever so much for just willing to be on the show and to speak to society and just help us understand each and every situation. So guys, remember, like our pages, follow us Instagram, Twitter at Oink, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. My name is Adero Ocholler. Remember to roll the R. Your comments, we shall respond. Pole read all again. Until next time, take care, be blessed, and thank you for watching. Thank you, Sophia, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.